What's up, Candy Ken? What's up, Baby J? How's it going?
Not today.
Candy Ken and Baby J.
It's Candy Ken.
Welcome to the Candy Ken Show.
I was supposed to play in like the celebrity poker game, like on the 23rd of this month. They just canceled me from the tournament because I'm banned from all the casinos. So I couldn't even. I just got that message just now. They let me pay for it. They let me do everything, make all the travel arrangements, but they ended up banning me from basically every casino. So now I play private games. I played on TV actually yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah.
You posted that, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that, like, flatter you, or does that piss you off that you're banned on all the casinos?
A little bit of both. Like, the thing is, like, I'm a gambler, right? Like, that's what I do, like, full time. Like, even, like, inherently, it's who I am.
Yeah.
So to limit the amount that I can gamble, how I can gamble, is a major inconvenience. And I don't like being inconvenienced. That really is perturbs me. So the inconvenience really makes me mad, but it's because I crushed them, and I live like such a fabulous life because of that. So it's a double-edged sword, It has this like flattery to it, but it has this inconvenience as well.
Yeah, bro, when I was looking into you, I was just like, I don't know, growing up, I always knew that casinos are like fucked up. And I always like, I've never gambled my own money. I've only gambled like friends' money. Like I have friends that like, they love gambling so much, they would like give me like a stack just to blow kinda. And I enjoy that. But I always, I've never bought like a lottery ticket. I always knew that the odds are against me. And for you to break that system must be kind of like flattering too, because like does that like how many people are banned like you? I think you've said like four.
There's
like four players.
It depends how you ask the question, right? So like if you say how many people are banned from casinos, including just one, enormous number. Like I'll never even know how large that number is, but people get banned for like a huge variety of reasons. Then how many players get banned for being what's called an AP, an advantage player? Also another huge number. But within that, every casino has its right to act on its own accord. So sometimes they'll see an AP player, right, like the advantage player, and they'll say, well, we're not going to ban you, but we're going to put special rules in place just for you. Like you have to flat bet, you have to this, or one hand only, or two hands only, or whatever it may be. So there's all different whatever. But the question you have to ask exactly to get the 4-person answer is how many people have been backed off the game Baccarat that have not been determined as a cheater, right? And there's been 4 people in history, and I'm one of them, who've been backed off the game Baccarat without being labeled a cheater. For example, there was like the Tran family. It was this large Asian family. Some of them were pit bosses, some were dealers, some were what ended up being players. And they had like this big conspiracy to like legitimately cheat. They got in trouble, they went to jail and what have you. There's only been 4 of us that ever been backed off the game Baccarat that haven't been officially deemed as cheating. And I'm one of those.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In history.
Yeah, in history, yeah.
Man, and you can't go to a different country, different landscape.
Well, I could. I did when I was younger. The issue with going to like a different country or landscape now, it's really hard to tell which ones I'll be welcomed in and which I won't. So for me, for example, like China would be like the go-to spot, right?
Yeah.
Macau. After Macau, you got like Singapore. After Singapore, you got like the Philippines. After the Philippines, you got some of the Caribbean islands. Those would be like the order. For me to move my money over to China, for me to arrange myself to get to China, all of these logistics that go into place, and then walk in just for someone to approach me and say, sorry, buddy, you can't play in Macau, would be like it'd be like such a waste of time and energy, especially with the flow of the cash to get from the States over to China and back and what have you. It's almost more trouble than it's worth to find out. And I'm not under pressure. Like I'm big chilling. So I don't need, it's a very stressful life as well. Like I don't need to even gamble if I'm allowed to gamble over there. I kind of can just coast through life now.
Does life excite you when you have these big moments? Like I always think about like MMA player or like musicians that like go on stage. You have like 50,000 people in front of you. You have this table in front of you. There's like $7 million on the table. Is that those moments where you like live for, where you like I did that?
You know, it's actually
That rush? Do
I
you
ha-
get that rush or?
I actually have an unfortunate answer. I've been so desensitized
Uh-huh.
that I don't get the rush. I don't get the enjoyment. Even after a win, it's like it's not like, oh, I just won X amount of money. It's just this. I'm very competitive by nature, so it's a baseline. Like I won. Like if we did a coin toss and I won, it's the same feeling. I win $1 million in a casino. It's not like I won $1 million. It's just that I won. You know, I'm better. I beat you or whatever. And I was just desensitized, which I think hurts me a lot too because of how much I devalue the dollar. When people want to like do business or I don't know whatever it is when it comes to money, I have no like. My father always said I never respected the dollar, and he's definitely correct.
Was it a lot more fun in the beginning?
Yeah, and
Like your first like $100, 1,000.
yeah,
I always like obviously I have no idea what you're doing, but my first 100K followers were like way more excited than 10 million. When I did like 10 million, there was hardly even a celebration. When I had like my first million, that is like significant. Like you're so hyped,
yeah.
you love it. Then after the 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, but still it's followers and not money. It's way different when you're like really sitting in front of it.
No, I had the same response as you do. Like my
Yeah.
my first $1 million win was like catastrophic. It was like such a pinnacle moment in my life, and it adjusted my path moving forward. But after that, even like my 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, $11 million wins, the biggest single session win I had was a little over $11.5 million, and I didn't feel anything. But I'm unsure if it's because I was fully desensitized or if I was trying to protect me from me. You know, I know that I need to keep a level head, and I know that almost always my very first thought is always wrong. Right? I got in so much trouble as a kid. I started to learn whatever my very first instinct
Like impulsive,
is impulsive, and it's
yeah,
probably the wrong decision.
for sure.
So as I started winning money, I knew the more money I had, the bigger trouble I can get in, the bigger damages I can cause. So I used to try to train myself to say, like, no matter whether I win $1 or $1 million or 10 million, I need to do the same thing every time to prevent myself from acting on my impulse and making that first decision. So like when I won that 11.5 million, it was exactly $11,526,000. That was my biggest single session win. And I ordered a peanut butter and jelly with sliced bananas, the crust cut off, and I just waited for the butlers to bring it. I ate my PB&J, and then I said, "Okay, what's next?" You know, went upstairs, packed my suitcase, went home, and so I didn't enjoy it. Which actually, looking back, that was like sort of the end of the glory days. Like that was the last time that there was two major casinos that I had just won the most at. That was the last time either of them let me play there. So now looking back, I wish that I had enjoyed it more. I wish that I celebrated that win. Like that was like such a trophy, you know, like what a story, like what a scenario. And I didn't, you know, I just was as calm, as like humble, as like gentle as I can be to not act out and make some rash decision that would get me in trouble. You know, I don't know what, but looking back, I wish I had enjoyed it and I didn't.
Well, you're so dialed in, and like I love how you described that you anything can throw you off, and all these casinos always try to throw you off with all their little tricks and little gambles. You almost like you're playing the game, and then you're playing a whole nother game, which is like trying to figure out what the casino is gonna do to throw you off, or even um to trick you and fake cards or I have no idea what I'm talking about, but like listening to you, it's there's so much. Every time you look into a specific field, you find out that everybody's always against you. Like when you look into pharma or into food, I mean anything, the money system, they're always fucking you up in every way. And now with casinos, it's the same thing. You get like somebody professional like you, and it seems like the whole casino is filled with losers. And if you don't keep losing, you gotta go
Right.
find another spot. So it's run for people to lose money, and they can't even take one player to win. You would be a great example, I would think, right? Somebody who's so successful makes me want to like gamble and makes me want to like go and like be like, yo, I want to be like Mikki. If he can do it, maybe I can do it, right? But no, it's the story of like he can never play. He's exiled from Vegas, which is like they're kind of like shooting themselves in the leg, but then maybe you're just causing too much damage.
There's actually a few things I want to touch on while we
Uh-huh.
have this big platform. The first is I want to discourage everybody from gambling. Sometimes I'm sure it looks super glorious when you're like watching my posts on my TikTok, on my Instagram story, whatever. Like we had said in the beginning, I'm one of 4 people in history, right? I need to be really realistic, and I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but like you and probably nobody else will become the 5th, right? You're almost.
What makes you different?
I'm not sure like what character traits I have that are
Yeah.
different from you that would give me the opportunity to recognize certain areas of the game that I use to exploit and win.
Or is
right?
it so perplexed? You need to be good in every area. Like you need to be smart. You need to like not be emotional. You need to like enjoy that and not act on your emotions, and then like be really focused in, dialed in.
I'm not sure the exact answer,
Yeah.
right? And I don't want to like make something up just to sound smart. I actually really don't know. I just know that there's 4 of us, right? Out of the hundreds and hundreds of millions of people who have gambled. So the reality is probably not you or anybody else, as sharp as you probably are and as dialed in as you probably are, probably will not become the 5th, which means you're more likely to be like everybody else, a loser. So I want to discourage gambling at all costs. Like I don't want anybody to look at my stuff and feel inspired to gamble. Like I don't want people to do that. All they're going to do is get hurt. I'm not incentivized from casinos. I don't get like paid for people to gamble. It does not help me for people to lose money or gamble at all. So I just definitely want to like put a disclaimer to all the fans out there. Like, do not gamble. I don't encourage it. Don't do it. If you're gonna gamble, you should say to yourself, like, how much am I willing to spend tonight on my entertainment? Like if you're gonna go to the club or go to the movies or whatever you're willing to spend on that entertainment, that's what you should bring to the casino if you're gonna gamble. You're probably gonna lose, which is fine because you're willing to pay that much for whatever entertainment you're having. But the times that you happen to win, congratulations, like a cherry on top. It's like going to arcade. You're gonna waste all this money, but once in a while you'll win like a big stuffed bear.
But it's like kind of fun to lose a bunch of money.
Sometimes it's
No.
fun.
It's not worth anything, no?
I mean, sometimes like let's say like it's all relative, by the way. Let's say you're a rich guy and you're willing to spend $1,000 on dinner, and you're like, you know what? I'm not even hungry. I'm not gonna go to dinner. You were already gonna spend $1,000. Go to the casino, put the 1,000 on the table, see what happens. Have some fun, Get some free massages, get some comps, get the free room, whatever, and you made $1,000 in value anyway.
So that's another thing. When you started winning, they supply you. Like it was already funny. Like the only thing I saw is when you go to Vegas, you get like free drinks and you can smoke, right? You already get a little bit of cookies left and right. But then you in your podcast, you've been saying like the more you win, you get like, I don't know, like a Rolls Royce picks you up. You get like a private jet. They fly you this, that, get you in a suite. But then there's a fine line between, is he gonna keep winning or is he gonna lose it all? And we invested all this stuff in him, but we're all gonna get it all back. I just wonder, do you think the casinos are connected? They're all owned. They all talk to each other and like try to have a list of people
Yeah, they
to
do.
control it.
They have a central communication system,
Yeah.
and they absolutely do. And they all can act on their own accord. So just because, like, let's say you're MGM and I'm Venetian, and you tell me, hey, we banned this guy, he's not profitable, he's a liability, or whatever it may be, I will oftentimes take that into deep consideration and probably follow suit. That's what the casinos do. But I don't have to. Like, if I'm MGM and you're Venetian, I can choose not to. I can think you're wrong. I can think the guy's just getting lucky. He took all your money and now he's going to dump it over here and I'm going to get it. But generally, they do have a central communication system and they do generally all follow suit.
And you think they have like a certain amount where they're like, okay, or like a certain amount of wins or a certain amount of money? Because in the end, it's about the amount. Now you hit that 10M.
I don't think it's the amount as much as it is the ratio. Like let's say like, for example, blackjack is a game, 48.5% odds per hand, right? So you should always be losing 1.5% of your bankroll. Over the long term, you'll always lose 1.5%. And I have so much to say on gambling, but in very simple math, you should always lose 1.5%. But let's say you're winning net profit at 4%, right? Meaning, I don't know the exact math, but let's say you're winning 60% of the times you come in. Depends on how long that is. They're going to say this guy is doing something because he's always supposed to be running slightly net negative. Somehow he's running slightly net positive. Something here is wrong. And I don't think they notice when you're playing small, but the bigger you play, there's like policies and more eyes have to be on you. So they start to recognize your win rate faster the bigger you play. They have Chinese guys come in and they'll win 20, 30, $50 million in a weekend, right? That by itself will not get them banned because they come back usually the next week and they'll lose it all back plus another 10 or 20 million. But if they come and they're winning at a 60, 70, 80% win rate, even if it's smaller than tens of millions, they go, this is a problem. This guy somehow is defying the odds. He's one of the guys that beat us. He's out. So I think it's the win rate more than the quantity.
Yeah, for sure.
But the higher the quantity, the faster they recognize it.
So did you ever like think maybe I should just lose on purpose a couple times, keep it easy?
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought about a lot of things. I thought maybe I should play much smaller and just win indefinitely. I thought about, going under the radar. I thought about losing once in a while, throw them off. But at the end of all of it, screw them, man. I'm here for all the money. Yeah.
And then, Ben, I heard you like you kind of like you could almost feel that they were after you, right? Were you gonna go like now you're gonna play even harder in that moment, or?
All right, so it's so interesting. This is what I wanted to say earlier. I forgot you had brought this up. I've said this before, and it's completely factual. High stakes gambling is 70% politics and 30% playing cards. Playing the actual game is probably the least relevant portion of gambling that helps you win or lose. The cards themselves are very cut and dry. You have the odds, they're fixed. There's exploitative features. For example, in blackjack, you can double down and split, right? And that's like where the money is made usually. But like, and just a heads up, if you're fixed at one hand and you're playing, I'm going to run net negative at 1.5%, right? So there's things I can do in the game, but like, you can't get that creative in the game. There's like slight advantages and things like that. The winning of the game, 70% of it happens not when the cards are out. It has nothing to do with whether you hit, stay, or split. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. So like your question, like, would I go harder in that moment? It's not that I'm going like harder on the table, like betting bigger, betting more. It's not like that. It's that I'm paying that much more attention to what's happening around me. And the other 70% of the characteristics of the casino's behavior and the tools they're using against me.
But it seems like you really... do you think they still can come up with things to trick you?
Endless.
Oh, yeah?
Endless, yeah.
You're not 100% like they don't got shit on me. It's always like a pressure.
There's always pressure. I think what happens is they will do something, for example, that they believe that I don't know is happening. Either I figure out that it's happening, or I learn that it's happening, or what have you. I figure it out, however you want to phrase this, right? And then I've caught up to them. So they're like, let's say 10% ahead of me. Boom, I figure it out. And as soon as they realize that I figured it out and they got nothing on me, they build another 10% on me. And then I figure that out and they build another 10% on me. And they do it in so many ways and they get so creative. And they're so smart. They're smarter than I'll ever be, that
Well, there are also more people.
Yeah, there's teams of the smartest people in the world working against me. It's like I'm a one-man army. It's me against the whole army.
Exactly.
And the whole army I'm fighting is like incredibly intelligent, creative, endless pockets. I mean, they have a bottomless bank account, right? And they'll do anything to protect their nest egg. And it's just me, So it's always like an uphill battle, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of work, and it's hard to stay sharp all the time. But that's the battle that I fight when I was gambling.
Is there a single casino that is fair to the player?
Nah, but
like where it's 100% cards?
Nah, I don't think so.
It's too much of a risk?
Yeah, yes, but every casino does their cheating or their edge building differently, right? They all have their own strategy, which makes them competition. So one of them will have built in a better edge in Baccarat, where another one is like, they haven't figured out the edge that casino's using, so they're like a little bit less on the unfair advantage. But then in blackjack, they figured something else out. In the carnival games, they figured something else out. On the slots, they're ramped up. Like slots has I think it's a 2 to 8% give back, right? So for like whatever, that's how much money they give. That's the payout odds. So some of them will rock like the lighter end. Some of them will rock the deeper end. And if you can figure out which casinos have a bigger edge or a smaller edge in which games, then you know to only play certain games in certain casinos, and then you're almost as close to a fair fight as you can on your overall.
Dang. Is there any casino you can still go to in America?
Yeah. There's my friend actually just bought a casino on the Strip. Soon I'll be playing there. He's very excited to have me. There's another casino on the Strip and off the Strip. It's a bigger company. They allow me to play.
But like with
It's a lot of stipulations.
yeah.
A lot of stipulations. A lot
What
of
about your
rules.
friends? Is he not scared to get wrecked by you?
My friends?
Uh-huh.
Wha-
The one that bought the casino.
Nah. I think
You're gonna
that
go easy, or what are you gonna do?
I'm not sure exactly. I think that he is like one of the sharper. I think most casinos are owned. They're like second generation Vegas. So they're
Mhm.
mostly like a very old men, don't know what social media is. They don't understand the influence of the power.
Yeah.
They don't even understand that I'm coming in with the biggest stars on the planet. And when the stars say to me, "What casino do you want to go to, Mickey?" Like I have the power, the marketing power to completely shift, where most of the money in Vegas is being spent. And no casino in Vegas so far has utilized me correctly, I believe. They could have Catch Me If You Can, like the movie that Leo was in,
Mhm.
and they never did. So I believe that my friend recognizes the influence I have, not just in the gambling world, but also in Hollywood. And I think he will allow me to do basically anything I want, knowing that that's where I'll be comfortable. And my friends who will be with me will also be comfortable. And I think it'll serve him a purpose. Even if he loses money to me, I think somewhere along the line, he's going to be happy with the services that by proxy it's offering.
That one hand that you have on Instagram with the two checks that are split. Is it the 11 million?
Oh, yeah. That was the 11.5, yeah.
What was the
I'm standing on the hood of the car naked,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
what is the what was the biggest hand, and were you like sure that you're gonna win this one, or it was still a gamble?
No. So I was betting 250,000 a hand,
Uh-huh.
but I bet that almost every hand. So it's like almost like
Are you
my
allowed to bet more or no?
no. They had allowed me to bet 300,000 a hand,
Mhm.
but the stipulations for the 300,000 were a disadvantage to me. It made more sense for me just to play 250.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like it's enough. Like every
Yeah.
4 wins is $1 million minus commission. So I was
How much is commission?
5% of all the bank side wins.
Okay.
So every time I bet bank and win, I owe 5% back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it worked out. It's okay. It's just the game, So my average bet is
How long does one hand take? Like how many minutes?
not minutes. Takes like
Seconds?
seconds. And I play very fast. And I play alone, so nothing's slowing me down.
Yeah.
I play very, very fast. Let's say one hand,
Uh-huh.
maybe 20 seconds max.
And how long does it take to get to the next game?
Instantly.
And but it's a person or a monitor?
It's a
No,
person
it's a
dealing.
person
Yeah,
dealing.
person dealing. Yeah. I could win 4 hands. If I win 4 hands in a row, it's $1 million. I can win that in about a minute.
Holy shit. And you just went like that until you got 10 million?
No, so it took place over a week.
Mhm.
I threw a party. There's so much to the story. Basically, I threw like a very, very outrageous party. We had
In Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas. It lasted all 7 days,
Uh-huh.
24 hours a day. We had over 1,000 people in attendance, like an average of 1,000. So at all times, you'll walk in, there's 1,000 people. I had a
This is in COVID or?
yeah, in COVID, yeah, and very outrageous party, and so many like stars and influencers and all these people. This is the thing. I just started social media, so to
Mhm.
be honest and humbly, I actually didn't know who they were. So people were introducing themselves to me. They're like, "Hi, I'm this person." I'm like, "I don't know who. You must be a friend of somebody. Nice to meet you." Come to find out, they're like these huge stars and all this. And what had happened was we started to use that as a distraction. So while all the executives were distracted by this elaborate, extravagant party, people like, we had like world championship fighters in there, for example. One guy lit a fire.
Mhm.
So there's a fire happening, and all these big time staff from the casino are rushing to figure out, why is there a fire? Who lit the fire? Oh my God, we can't throw him out. He's so like important. He sells out our arena.
Mhm.
And they're dealing with this. And then me and my boy will sneak out one of the other doors, run to the
Yeah.
table and play while they're distracted by
less
the party.
eyes.
Yeah.
But still eyes.
Yeah. So we did that for a week. So we'd play for like 10 minutes,
Uh-huh.
win a couple million, and sneak back into the party before they even realized I won. And we kept hitting them off like this throughout a whole week.
And you knew this was not going to go forever.
No, I knew it wasn't. I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't. They tried to rob me of $1 million. I have on video I posted it. They threatened me. They tried to extort me for $9.5 million. That's on my TikTok and my Instagram.
Mhm.
And when it came to pay me, they tried to short me $1 million. I had to get my lawyer involved. It was a whole thing. We knew that it was coming to an end that week.
Yeah.
We knew that.
So what do you want? You want them to close down, or it seems
I
so?
want them to be fair, man. Give everybody a chance. Check
but
this
it's
out.
not profitable.
So getting another line of work. Listen to this, man. It's illegal
Uh-huh.
to play those games outside of those doors, right? So we are now forced by law to only gamble when it's a complete disadvantage to us. That sounds like corruption at its peak.
For sure.
We're only allowed to play somewhere that we're destined to lose. That doesn't sound right.
Sounds almost like a vaccine that doesn't
That doesn't
help
work.
you. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, the more it's funny. It's just so funny to me that it's so good to you. It gives you your lifestyle, a lot of fun, crazy parties, but still, you want them to be fair.
Well, for everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
done.
yeah.
I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of you guys?
What about the 99.9%?
Yeah. What about the rest of the people? Like, it's
Yeah.
not fair to you guys.
That's crazy. Have you ever thought about like opening your own casino with fair rules?
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I thought about it, yeah.
You think crazy players would roll in and
The players follow me wherever I'll go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many, because I heard Dana White is also banned from many casinos because he's so good at blackjack.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played together a few times. We played on a few streams. We played on Aiden Ross's stream. We played
Uh-huh.
on Steve O'Dewitt's stream. Dana is a savage player.
Bro.
I personally don't like his style of play. I personally disagree with a lot of it, but I respect it. I mean, it's such savagery the way he plays that you can't not appreciate it. You know, it's almost, I want to say, like, it's like, what do they say about war? The art of war. Watching him play blackjack is like the art of war. And I think watching me play is like watching Bob Ross painting a canvas. You know, I think he and I have polar opposite styles of play, but I respect Dana's play a lot.
Would there be another game that you think you could figure out besides what is it called?
Baccarat?
Baccarat?
Yeah, I figured out most of the games in a casino. I figured
Yeah?
because for example, card counters and blackjack, they'll say you can still play in our casino, just not blackjack. But for me, they say you can't play at all. You can't even come inside. They know. I figured out most of the games.
You come out of a family where everybody gambles.
Right.
Is there anybody as good as you, or also banned, or
No.
or as rich as
you? My grandfather passed away, and his brother, my great uncle, passed away. They gambled higher stakes than me. They were bigger gamblers. I don't want to say they were necessarily winners though, or losers. They had an incredible roller coaster ride of lives, like even before I was born, during my upbringing, and then like up until they passed away. Other than them two, I would say none, not like super notable gambling stories. You know, like everybody's like high stakes gamblers, except my mother and father. It's the only two, which is odd, but skip that generation, I guess. They were like the only two. But everybody else gambled high stakes, but I would say not like notably.
What about siblings?
I got one sibling. He's not a big gambler, actually. He lives like a very humble life. He's a professional paintball player, and he just loves it. You know, that's his life, and he lived with me for a while. I showed him the high life. He used to come to Vegas with me once a week. He like
Mhm.
witnessed everything, and he thought it was awesome, but it wasn't really his style. You know, he like, I don't know. He likes to like play in the dirt, play paintball, and like that's his life. You know, and that's what he's happy with.
Yeah. It's not for everybody, I think, especially the pressure.
Yeah.
So when you get ready for a game, how do you get ready? Like, how do you dial in like that?
I have like many small things I do. There's only a couple that I do that are like super important to me. First, I like playing in the mornings. I like waking. For me, gambling is a job. So like some people are like, "Oh, like I'm in town, just pull up, let's gamble." And I'm like, "No, like if you ask a world championship fighter, like, hey, I'm in town, just come to my gym and let's have a fight." He's like, "No, I need training, I need my diet, I need exercise, I need strategy, I need to watch how you fight. So when people say that to me, that's like the first thing. So there's many things I do in my prep, but they're usually small things. The few big things I do, I like to wake up in the morning. I don't tell anybody that I'm playing. I don't like when people know that I'm gambling. So like if my girlfriend's texting me like, hey, I saw you left the room. Where are you? I'm not going to answer her. And if I do have to answer her, I tell her I'm doing something else. But then she figures, and I tell her like, hey, I was gambling. I just, they figure out that I don't like telling. I like to just be totally left alone in the morning. In my shower, I write like these hieroglyphics in the fog in the window and I study them while I'm in my shower. I usually take a long shower. I have like some sayings that I say like to the hieroglyphics, what have you. And
Like what?
I don't want to say exactly, but
okay. Like to yourself or?
no, I say out loud.
Yeah.
I say it out loud, yeah. And that's really it. Like I have my
Like,
little zone, my little path.
You put on your clothes, you walk in.
That's it. Yeah, I sit down and play.
And then when do you decide to get up?
There's a couple
there's always people that like they don't know when to get up. No,
right, which I think is the most gamblers' downfall.
Yeah.
Most stories you hear are like, I was winning,
yeah,
and then I gave it all back.
Exactly.
So there's a few things I put into place. First, I have a win loss and a stop win and a stop loss. So I have a number in my head. If I get down to this number, I'm done for the session. If I get up to this number, I'm done for this session. And it's usually, those are like micro stops, like little milestones along the bigger goal. So like when I want 5 million, for example, roughly I'll stop at every like 1.75. Like that's for whatever reason I like that number, right? Because if I'm at like 1.75 and I'm like, oh, let me just go for 2. Oftentimes I have a history where I'll start losing it back and then I'll be like, why didn't I just stop? I told myself at 1.75 I'll stop. So I try to stay really firm and accountable. And then my best friend, I call him my gambling coach, he sits next to me always. And together we decide what the milestones are, what this stop win and stop loss are. So he's counting my chips so I don't even have to break focus from the game. He's always keeping an eye on how much I'm up or down. And when we hit the number, he'll grab the chips and just say, we're done now.
So he sits next to you?
Yeah.
How is your heartbeats races in there or?
No, always the same.
Yeah.
Same like right now.
Do you look the dealer in the eyes?
Sometimes. I talk a lot.
Do you pay attention to the people that sit around you?
Yeah, I pay really close attention to anybody who's in the room. I pay really close attention to the details because, again, only 30% is the actual card playing.
Yeah.
70% of the stuff is happening inside that room right in front of me. They're like hiding, they're like enemies hiding in plain sight. So let's say there's 10 executives, for example, standing in the room. I don't know which one of those are setting me up and which ones aren't. So I stay super keen to every movement they make.
And then when it comes down to it, there's always something inside of you that is like, what if they like got something new to cheat me?
Right.
And there's some sort of release when you actually do win. And then when you get up, how do you feel when you walk out?
I like in my head, I'm like, suckers, gotcha, And imagine, I don't know, it's me against this whole army of like such intelligent and powerful people. And like, I still won the war. It's a very strong feeling. It's very empowering.
Do you think your son will be as good as you?
I hope he doesn't gamble. I hope he does something. I hope he enjoys life. And I hope he picks, if it was up to me, something stable, comfortable, safe, calm.
You think your line of work is very, getting banned, all this shit, it's very unstable?
The most unstable, incredibly volatile, dangerous, pressure-filled, and it's also unnecessary. You can make more money doing safer things, and he has like a good leg up in life. He doesn't have to like risk it all to make a living. He doesn't have to risk anything. He can just enjoy himself and just be happy.
Yeah. Why do social media?
Yeah, so what a good question.
Because it seems like there's privacy to be kept and it's kind of dangerous. And I like when you said like before you were like anti social media, right?
Yeah.
You walked in with your COVID mask. You're trying to keep low profile.
What a good
now
question.
You're really out there putting yourself in my For You page.
Yeah.
Right?
So when COVID first started and the casinos were shutting down, like half of them still treated me like a best friend. And I talked to all the owners, the CEOs, CFOs, all this. And throughout COVID, we'd text and I'd be like, any sign of, opening back up? And they'd say, oh, we're taking this. So we're in communication. And they saw I was like losing my mind with boredom. I was new to the West Coast, so I didn't have like that many friends. I didn't know, like, I couldn't go out and meet people. I couldn't like do much. And they said many, many times, but they basically just pressured me and they said, start social media. They said, your life's so interesting. Most people don't know that this lifestyle exists at all. And the ones that do know about it are usually like these super old, boring, rich dudes that aren't even maximizing, the life that they have. So they were like, don't you think people find it interesting? And I was just so bored and they're like, you'll have fun. I said, all right, screw it. And I started a channel, Instagram only, and it immediately like just blew up, just viral right away. And it kept me really busy during COVID. It was fun. It kept me engaged.
Mm.
And then all this like really cool stuff started happening because of social media. My childhood heroes started contacting me to become friends. These brands wanted to like give me all this free stuff that like you couldn't even buy. Like it was like invite only type stuff. And they were inviting me and putting me on jets and all this. And I was like, wow, like this is stuff I always wanted to do. And hold on one second. I was like, wow, this is stuff I always wanted to. Hold on one second, let me fix this. I got it. I think. Good? Still good?
So good.
Let me hit this real quick. Anyway, I was like, wow, this is stuff I always wanted to do. And I was like, I like this. This has been fun. And it's opened up so many more doors for me that I was like, I wonder if I keep going down this like path towards Hollywood and fame and recognition, For You pages, whatever. What other cool experiences will I have in life? Other opportunities will come my way. If this is what I'm getting at a small number, what'll happen at a big number? So I kept going. But I'm really easy to hit the kill button. I did it twice already. I just got back on social media like 60 days ago or something. I took off, I forget, a long time. I forget how much I took off, but I don't make money on social media. I've never done a paid promo. I've never received a check for views. I've well over 1 billion views on the internet, never made $1 from it. So for me, it's been a fun. As soon as it stops becoming fun, without saying anything, I just stop. And I've done it twice already. And I went like pretty long periods. Like, I think I did like a year and then I did 6 months, like 0 social media. So that's basically my whole journey, I guess.
And that all of that went down in what time period?
Which part?
Like you ripping the game, finding out you're really talented at this, dialing in.
Before social media.
Before COVID?
Before COVID, it really started.
So COVID slowed you down.
No, COVID actually sped me up. So Nevada was one of those states that was like the very last state to put in any sort of regulation or restriction. And when they did the bare minimum, only what they had to. So like living in LA, which was like one of like the most over the top cities in the world, like for COVID, it was like, it was ridiculous. Like I think they had a short time. I believe you'd get arrested if you left your house and couldn't prove that it was for your, what they call like necessary work or whatever. And like, so you'd get arrested for leaving your house. It was crazy. But I also have a house in Vegas. So Vegas basically would let you do whatever until the governor stepped in and said like, this you can't do anymore. So I spent a lot of time there because I couldn't do anything here. So I spent extra time in the casinos and I spent extra time focused on gambling because there was no entertainment. They told Vegas to shut down entertainment, but they didn't tell them to shut down the tables. So I spent more time around the tables. And I wasn't on the tables. I spent more time by myself thinking about the tables.
Man, and do you do it for the money or for the rush or the love of the game?
Money.
Money?
Money.
And now you made so much money. Is it enough money or do you need to keep going?
I don't think there's ever such thing as enough money.
Exactly.
Every time, I'm sure just like you, like when we were younger, we were like, when we have this much money, our life will look like this. Well, then we made that much money. And we're like, well, what'll happen when we have this much money? It'll look like, it'll go forever. It's an appetite that can't be filled. So I still do things. I still make money. I still work. I still hustle. I still am involved. I make deals and what have you.
But
But
no gambling or gambling.
much less gambling.
Yeah.
Much
It
less.
doesn't make you excited to go to a fucking China or something, and like maybe they don't talk to the Americans. Maybe go to Russia, and I don't know, have a team of people that like speak the language and like fuck the casinos there.
It sounds very exciting,
Uh-huh.
but there's so much stress and so much pressure. I mean, there's no way you can look at this kind of stress and pressure and say that sounds fun. So what you're thinking is the fun, exciting part is only the end, not the 90% of what happens underneath the surface.
Yeah.
So 90% is like being in war, and then you only see like the celebration of when we won the war. But
I
what
know,
about
but it
that?
seems like the whole process excites you a little bit, no?
It does only when the end goal is a success.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a failure and I'm losing tens of millions or whatever it may be, then I went to war and I still lost.
Yeah.
You know,
Is it like if they speak all a different language, must be like, I don't know, a million times harder to figure out the casino. Like I feel like in an American casino, you like know what the staff is talking, or like there's like much more that goes into it. I feel like when you're in China, maybe it's not 70-30, maybe it's like 90-10, because like their whole system is much harder on people anyways.
I
Or
don't
do you
know.
think there's a country that is like fair casinos? Like you find like, I don't know, Japan or
I
this.
think the fairest casinos are the little podunk towns, podunk casinos, and
But you can never
little poor
play
country.
250 per hand.
That's the problem.
That's the
That's
problem,
the
right?
exact problem.
There gotta be like only a handful of spots where you can like really high stake gamble.
That's exactly correct. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Like how many places in Vegas are there where you can really play for millions?
3 companies.
Yeah. And that's only in Vegas, or is there another spot in America?
In Connecticut, there's 2 casinos. One I could play, one I can't. They'll let me bet $150,000 a hand. In Atlantic City, they don't let you bet that big. In Florida, they don't let you bet that big. Colorado, you can't bet that big. Oklahoma, you can't bet that big. Reno, you can't bet that big. LA, I got 2 casinos that let me play $100K a hand. San Diego, you can't play that big. New York, you can't play that big. Philly, you can't play that big.
So you made millions of dollars and you gotta make more.
I mean, if you have a good deal for me, I'll listen, you know?
Did you, like I heard you invested in real estate.
Yeah.
You have a nice McLaren, couple
Yeah.
houses.
Mm-hmm.
But like the crazy thing is, as this system is set up, they have so many beautiful ways to spend money that it seems to like every time I make more money, bro, like you adapt like instantly almost.
The standard of living goes up.
Yeah. And then it seems like that wheel of money just needs to keep going.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, you feel like that?
Yeah.
So you want to gamble more, or?
I find gambling fun. Like I enjoy gambling sometimes. A lot of times it's just like going to work, which like nobody wants to go to work. So the times I do for entertainment are fun. I don't think that I'm going to continue to be relying on gambling for income. If that's
Yeah.
what you're asking, I don't think so.
No. Maybe social media comes in really handy.
Social media and gambling. Well, my social media is built on gambling.
Yeah.
But social media actually got me like some really interesting things. Like I'm in a few movies. I have a couple TV shows. I just got a TV show actually picked up by Discovery. We're filming season 1. I think starting next week actually. It's gonna air. I think it's supposed to air in about 6 months. I got a couple of TV shows, couple of movies, and I'm working on more. We're developing more right now. So that is gonna pay large dividends to own some of that stuff, and that's also a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun with that journey so far.
Do you? A lot of people say you need addiction can only be replaced with an addiction,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
So you can't just stop an addiction. It's impossible. You need to find like a new addiction.
I
Are you on the journey like to find a new addiction? Like a healthy addiction? Like
I think there are ways to
Because sometimes you look, not
Yeah,
you, but like
yeah.
you have like a, let's say a gambling addiction, right?
Mhm.
You stop the gambling, now you go into a sex addiction.
Mhm.
You stop that, you go into an alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Going to foods.
Yeah,
Stop that going to work.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you're a heavy addict and really good at it.
I think there are ways to lower the addictive natures of a human being. I don't think you're ever going to change a person who doesn't have a fear of the commitment, right? Let's say I'm a fully committed person. That's who I am. I think I can learn and train my mind to recognize if I'm overcommitting versus fully committing. And if I stay working on that, I think that I'm sort of tuning myself to be more productive rather than destructive in my nature. And then am I switching my focus, I guess is your question. Um, I'm sort of soul searching right now. I'm trying to learn more about who I am, my likes and dislikes. I'm on another fact finding mission about myself. And I'm sort of hands off the wheel and just allowing life to happen right now and going where it takes me.
Do you have any other addictions?
I don't think I have any addictions.
No?
I don't think so.
What about family? You want a family?
Yeah. Yeah. I said this recently in an interview and I mean it though.
Uh-huh.
The next girl I date, I'm marrying. That's it. I'm committed, you know? And so I'm looking for the right one. Which is such like a weird sentence to say, you know, like, but basically, yeah, I'm like looking for a wife. I want a house with a white picket fence. I want the dog, you know. I want to have, her get the SUV and I have the matching sports car,
Yeah.
you know.
Because like I don't have the millions, but I did reach like a certain goal as like a fame or clout that I wanted to, and it was very unfulfilling. And I think Jimmy Carrey always says that, right? He wishes everybody would get rich and famous so they can see how empty that shit is. And then when I got my wife and my son, it was just like so fucking cliche, but it's a deep satisfaction. And like it's just different because like there's not that next thing where you always like when you win or you get followers, you always want that bigger number, the more followers, more money, more cars, more houses. With a family, it's like it's really you get dialed into the presence and you're just like, wow, I just like wish this would like go forever, kind of, like you wish that moment you can hold on to your kid being young or your wife being in love with you or I don't know. So um I think especially talking, I don't know many, I only know like a handful of like millionaires or people that made so much money than you. Maybe you can talk a little bit about like how money changed you or if money makes you happy.
I don't think money changed me. I'll tell you that. I think that actually is one of the reasons so many people are attracted to my brand. Um, every single item I'm wearing right now was given to me. The owner of Colt gave me this hat yesterday. Zach, the owner of FTP, gave this to me like 2 weeks ago. I just opened the pack today. The owner of Broken Promises gave this to me. The vans were given to me by a motocross company that I had to go race dirt bikes in. And I was like wearing nice shoes. I was like, I don't really want to, I was like, they're like, do you want to wear this on the track? I said, no. So they got me these. These socks were given to me from a Hypebeast. These are Supreme socks. They're given to me by a Hypebeast resale store. So like, I'm literally wearing a $0 outfit, And if I wanted to, I can go buy whatever I want. These vapes were given to me. Actually, my cell phone was
What about your McLaren?
the McLaren was
Given to you?
it was sort of given to me.
Yeah.
Even my phone was given to me. Like this iPhone, my homie gave to me. He like pre-ordered a bunch of them and just handed them out to the homies and gave me one. So like, I don't think money changed me, and I think a lot of people appreciate that about me.
For sure, you're really much more chill than I expected. Yeah. What about like how people treat you and like how you have to like a little bit watch out, like because people wanna either like get what you have or like teach me how to play the game.
Yeah.
All this shit.
Um,
Take a photo with you.
It's like a double-edged sword, right? So the first thing
Or
is
do you
like
keep your old homies?
I'll if you're my homie, you're my homie whether you're new or you're old. If
Mhm.
we're like-minded and we're compatible, like you're my homie. So I have guys that have been in my life and women that have been in my life a really long time, and we have the same relationship then as we do now, and in the middle and all that. I have newer homies that came in, and I have old homies that left, right? So for me, the money didn't affect my relationships. Like I wasn't I as much as I love this line, it actually doesn't apply to me. And he goes, I just want to blow up and act like I don't know nobody, you know? And as much as I love that line,
Riff Raff, right?
I'm not
Or
sure.
did he stole that?
I'm not sure if he stole it or not.
I heard it from him, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I love that
yeah.
line. But unfortunately, it actually isn't applicable to me. For me, the money didn't direct my relationships. A lot of people from the outside, also, you would never know that I have money if I didn't have social media. If I didn't like get this fame and
Yeah.
clout and whatever, you would literally just think I'm just like some like punk rock kid that lives, I don't know, like in a shared studio apartment somewhere. But that's just who I am on the inside. That's just me, you know? So it's only through social media that people started to like see that I have money. But the double-edged sword comes because half the people, I'm just going to use half roughly, but people will contact me because they want something from me and they want me to give to them. What can I do for them? What can I do for them? But then another half of the people are way more famous, way more wealthy, way more powerful than I am. They will contact me like, hey, we seem like-minded.
Yeah.
I have something to offer you. Would you like to be involved in what I got going on? So as much as I found these snakes that are just trying to be around me for what I have or the money or whatever, then an equal amount of people have contacted me like, we don't want anything from you. We'll never be in need from you. We just think you're like-minded and can enjoy each other's company. Like, come with me, So it was a double-edged sword. But if you rocked with me from the beginning, you're still with me. If you rock with me now, like you're with me now.
What about the happiness? You think money makes happy?
I think money buys the tools to do things that make me happy. I think everything in this world is for sale. And I think that how people spend money on an item or an experience actually changes their experience of that situation. So, like, for example, if I went out and bought this outfit that I have, I would have no attachment to it. I would feel no connection. But because every item that I'm wearing was gifted to me, I have a connection to every person. Like all day today, I'm going to feel connected to every person that gave me this item, right? So, in that regard, I didn't need, if I had money and I bought this, I would have less happiness, less connection, less experience than I'm going to have today because of this outfit and not having money.
And but then also people are completely different than you, and they might like your brother,
Mhm.
right? And they don't need the amount of money. They find other purpose. I feel like it's really different for everybody. It's really hard to like say money makes happy or not, because like it's for everybody. It's different, and some people really get happy from money. I would say like that's not like it just doesn't work for everybody.
But I think the people you're right, 100%.
Mhm.
I think the people who get happy from money,
Mhm.
right? I think it's fleeting. For example, like you can buy things that make you happy. Like, I don't know, like I don't know what, I'm gonna make this up. I love partying. I'm gonna pretend, right? So I go and I drop a bag on the table and all the bottles and I pay for all the girls to come and it looks really cool. And for like 3 hours, the whole 3 hours that I'm at the club, I have a blast. But afterwards, I'm like, oh, that was Friday night. Now it's Saturday night. If I want to have fun again, I got to drop that bag again and pay for those people to be around, pay for the experience, pay for all that. So that moment of happiness only lasted 3 hours, and I think there's other people like my brother and also like myself that don't need to go to that club to have fun. They can have fun sitting, like my brother's got a little daughter, right? His most favorite thing in the world is to sit on the couch with her and just hang out.
Of course.
And that doesn't cost anything beyond the rent, the cable bill, and to buy the TV they're watching or whatever. So I think his is more everlasting than the guy who's going to the club and dropping a bag on these girls or whatever.
Not only that, I feel like that first time you sit in your McLaren, that first round when you hit that gas,
Mm-hmm.
bro, after, like you've sat in this car, I don't know, 500 times,
Yeah.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's not exciting anymore, no?
Actually, that's my daily driver.
Yeah.
And I do love that car. I love it more for the way I got it more than for the car that it actually is. It's an amazing car. Probably the best car I have. It's a phenomenal car. But it's actually an inconvenience to own and drive that car. I daily that thing. I'll take it to the grocery store. If my friend wants to go through the drive-through, I'll go through the McDonald's drive-through in the McLaren. And it's an inconvenience because I can't hit bumps. I have to raise the nose every time I want to pull in or out. I gotta be careful where I park. People want to like take photos on front of it, but sometimes I have like my personal stuff in the passenger seat, and I'm like, you're taking photos like it's your car, and now my paperwork's invisible or whatever. So it has a lot of inconveniences. I'm scared of the dings. I'm scared of the little rocks coming up, and um. But you're absolutely right. Like it wore off. Wore off.
Yeah, I think there's an interview with Dan Bilzerian where he says like the first time you eat that steak, go to that restaurant, go to that yacht. It's like so good. The more you do it, the way up from money is so fun. But then once you're up, then nothing excites you anymore.
Then I think that's why a lot of like these super wealthy people do super crazy things.
Yeah, but they have to.
Yeah, because they're always looking to like surpass their current threshold. And eventually you're teetering in some really dangerous waters. And some of these really rich people, especially if they had money their whole life, they find themselves crossing this line into like what's exhilarating now, what's exciting now, and it's actually really troublesome and really destructive.
Have you ever had this where you seem like you really wanna, like with this whole how I saw you on my For You page taking down the casinos, like you want, like you care. Have you ever cared like about like other people and like justice and fairness?
That's I think my biggest thing, like I started a foundation.
Mhm.
I don't make money. Actually, I lose money. And I lose money on it, but it's okay. It's for free. It's called Shaken Hearts on Instagram. You send a DM, and for free, we'll find you whatever kind of help you need. If you're struggling with mental health, like depression, anxiety, if you're struggling with drug addiction, alcoholism, gambling addiction, all of these things, and we just find you some help. And it's totally free of charge. Just to help the masses, help the other 99.99% that can't win in a casino because of these unfair rules. And I fight these casinos all the time. Their advantages that these casinos built is what I made all my money on. If they didn't have that, I'm unsure that I would have been anything beyond a typical high stakes gambler, a guy that wins sometimes and lose sometimes. But because they built these edges in that were man made, you can climb their ladder and beat them at their own game. So they shot themselves in the foot. They really hurt themselves with that for me. But for everybody else, it's ruining lives. So every time I expose a casino or I talk about how they cheated or I show a video how they have a card mechanic switch the cards in blackjack or I show how the electronic shoes are cheating or I show how their monitors, they switch the data on it mid-hand and I show all these things and I always post it and I label the casino. I'm not scared to put these casinos on blast. It only hurts me to do that. I don't get any benefit from exposing casinos. I just really want to help inform and educate the masses so they know what they're working with. I don't think people should gamble because it's going to be the odds of them figuring out all of these things it takes to win are slim to none, basically zero. It's almost a zero number. And I don't need to see people hurt. I mean, life could be so beautiful and so loving and so happy without people losing their mortgage payment, without people perpetuating divorces from unhappy relationships that stem from an unhappy inner self that came somewhere from a negative behavior, a consequence of a negative behavior. And if I can just help shed any light to these people that watch my stuff, like, hey, like you can sidestep all of this. Don't be blinded. Don't be like misled by like casino beautiful marketing or in rap music beautiful marketing about drugs or whatever. You can sidestep all this and live a beautiful happy life without hurting yourself. And I really hope that I shed light because it only hurts me to post the stuff that I do post.
Yeah. Does that get you in legal trouble or they come after you?
I don't care. They want to see me in court. I'll pay for the trial with the money I took from them.
That's hardcore. But you don't care.
Man, I've been anti-establishment my whole life. I have so many anti-system tattoos on me from the top of my head down to my toes that I'm richer and more powerful now than I was when I came up with these ideals. Whatever, man. They want to see me in court. They can suck my dick.
No, I love that because you don't have to, and you could just live a nice luxury life off social media and not post these. But this is what like got my attention when you were exposing the casinos and you're like after them, and it's powerful. And I had no idea. You have no idea. And I've been in casinos. I've played with other people's money, and I've seen many people lose, and it's crazy. I mean, that's why I think it's so crazy that they made an enemy with you, because you could have also been like the trophy for them. The person that
I thought that too, man. And it kind of offended me.
yeah. You think because of your tattoos, you don't fit if you're suited up and you looked all nice and sweet.
Maybe. I'm sure the tattoos didn't help.
Doesn't help, no?
Tattoos never helped anything in life.
Yeah.
I'm also a major advocate for people not getting tattooed. I've been removing mine for 4 years, and I really, really want to encourage everyone not to get tattooed, for the record. And I would know from experience
Why?
how negatively it reflects on my life. I mean, I know what it's like to have no tattoos. I know what it's like to have some. I know what it's like to have a lot. I know what it's like to have just my hands. I know what it's like to have my hands and my neck. I know what it's like to have my face. I know what it's like to be as tattooed as I am. And I watched the direct impact it had on my life. And everything about tattoos is a liability and never an asset. The only time it's an asset, by the way, tattoos are exclusively attention seeking. There is no reason in the world that a person at the core of it will ever get a tattoo other than they want attention. Just to be super, super clear. That attention is always negative, even when the person thinks it's positive. For example, a lot of guys will get tattooed because they think women find it attractive. Let me be super clear. Some women find it attractive when men have tattoos. Most of those women are not going to marry that guy. It's statistically, think like this. How many times have you hooked up with a girl or dated a girl? Make this up. 100 times, right? How many times have you married those girls? 1 time. How many times have you been married? Once? Okay, so right now you're batting 1 for 100, right? So are 99% of the women that will never have a future with you worth scarring your body for life? So the only time that a tattoo serves a purpose is for a woman who does find tattoos attractive, who, by the way, will sleep with you even if you don't have tattoos, like for the record, right? That woman 1 time will come to you, find you attractive. You'll have a fling, you'll be in a relationship, you'll hook up 1 time, whatever. She leaves scarless. The rest of her life, she's going to live with no scars on her body, and you still have these scars forever. Waiting for that one woman out of 100 that'll just look past the tattoos and love you for you.
Dang, that's crazy coming from you, but it's really powerful. I think. Do you have any other things where you're like completely against that people shouldn't do?
I don't want to say drugs, like I don't like encourage like drug use necessarily, except that I think drugs could be really fun. I personally don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't drug. I don't say curse words. I don't go to strip clubs. I don't eat sugar. I don't drink caffeine. I don't do a large array of things, all for my own reasons. If I can do anything I want. If I want to curse right now, I'll say a curse.
So it's not religious.
No, it's not really. It's just my own choices. Like I do or don't do whatever I see fit for me, right? Like for example, like I vape. For me, I big deal. Like I want to vape, I'm gonna vape, and I gamble, right? I vape and I gamble. For me though, cursing only had negative consequences, right? And the biggest negative consequence is that it actually, instead of having a negative consequence, it actually prevented me from having a positive consequence. So when I quit cursing, I had gained a particular positive consequence that I was seeking in my life, and I got it by not cursing. But that's only for me personally, right? So when it comes to the drug thing, I think drugs could be really fun. And I think drugs feel really good. And I think drugs could enhance a lot of experiences. I also think they could ruin a lot of experiences. And I think depending on your intake of drugs and the environment you're using drugs and your motive behind the drugs you're using, when you're using, how often you're using it, for how long you're using, could be okay. So I don't have a strong stance against drugs. I think that's on a very, very specific basis. Every person's exact circumstance separately. Um, I don't think I have any other like strong stances. I think I don't know.
You're so disciplined, and uh, can we talk about like I think I heard you say that your life took one bad turn after another, and maybe you can tell me about that.
When I was younger, and you could probably tell. I mean, I tattooed my face. I can tell you
Well,
that.
nobody knows if you did it because you're like fuck the casinos.
Bro,
Or if it-
nobody tattoos their face because life is going good for them,
Yeah.
right? Nobody's like making a series of good decisions and the end result was a face tattoo. I don't think it's ever happened in history, and I don't think it's ever gonna happen like that. Maybe if you're like a tattooer, you make a living tattooing, then I can see like that being the only circumstance. You go talk to someone with some face tattoos, ask them why they did it, and you'll get a pretty quick read on like where their life was at or where it's going or what their train of thought is, right? It's never good. So when I was younger, I made an endless series of poor decisions. Probably the worst decisions I could have made. Like, it
like
was,
how old and why?
I mean, basically my whole life up until I was in my early 20s. It was like something inside of me was just rebellious and I thought I knew it all. And I thought I was different from everybody. So if you gave me advice, let's say you were a wealthy, successful person, and that's what I wanted in life was to be rich, let's say. And you were 50 years old and you were just like some standard like white guy with no tattoos that wore a suit. And we were talking and I was a kid, call it 12 years old. And you're like, Mick, if you want to be successful, do the following things, right? I would say to myself, this guy's a nerd. He's not like me. He's corny. He probably is boring. I don't want to live like him. I want to live like this, but I want the riches. So I was going to like take one or two pieces of his information and the rest ignore. Even though the truth is he had only given me a full solid plan how to be successful. And I had this thing about me. I just felt different. I felt like I was unique. I felt like nobody understood me. I felt rebellious. I felt, I don't know what exactly. I had like this excess of energy and I didn't know how to focus it into a hyper focused area. I would just like go until like learn throughout life that excess energy could be harnessed and refocused into a really productive area. And I just had continued to make poor decisions, one decision after another. And then my life became
Like what?
like, I don't know, like everything, like,
Like there's a Mickey. He's 15.
yeah, okay. So when I was 15, like I would stay at my mother's house, let's
Mhm.
say, and
Parents divorced together.
no, my parents are still together. My parents never divorced.
Strong father figure.
Yeah, solid father for sure. But I never listened. I was also raised a large portion of my life by my grandparents.
Okay.
And what happened was I was such a bad kid that my parents said like, hey, listen, we have exhausted all our resources trying to like help you, right? We don't have what it takes to help you. Like, we don't know what else to do. At this point, you are only destroying the rest of the family that's still intact. We have to let somebody else give this a shot. And then my grandparents took over and I did the same thing to them. And then they gave me up. And then like my aunt stepped in for a short time. And then basically
But
anybody.
like, what did you harass them or you?
I was just so reckless. I had no regard for the rules, no regard for consequence. I just felt like nobody got it. I was like, I'm going to go do this crazy thing, right? Whatever it was. And like my parents, for example, would be like, don't go do that thing because the following bad things will happen from it. And I'm like, no, you just don't get it.
Mhm.
I'd go do that thing anyway. By the way, my family was right every single time. Like, obviously, like they're older, they're wiser, they're more experienced. They saw it coming. I was a child. I was an idiot. I had such little life experience that.
So what, like criminality?
Yeah, criminality. Even like in relationships, somebody like, don't go cheat on your girl. Like, she's beautiful. She loves you to death. It's so hard to find a girl like that, especially at your age. Like, lock that in. Like, you guys are gonna get married. We look at her like a daughter, and I'll be like, nah, sounds exciting. I'm gonna go sleep with someone else tonight and hope I don't get caught. And that would ruin like my relationship with like that girlfriend, for example, and and etc. Just anything I could that was wrong, basically I did.
Until when?
Until I was in like roughly my early 20s and I was so defeated by life. I was homeless again and
You were homeless before.
yeah, I was homeless a few times. And it was just like every time was like a tougher circumstance and like more challenging to like recoil from and rebound from. And
How old were you when you were homeless the first time?
17.
And you didn't want to go back to your parents?
By then, my parents were out of the picture. Like, they were no longer in my life. I was very far removed from them. I destroyed like my nuclear family, and they like excused me from their lives, and rightfully so. And I want to be super clear. I'm very close with my parents today. They never abandoned me. They had to save what was left of themselves. They had every right to do exactly what they did. They were absolutely correct to do everything they did. We're very close today, and I have great and loving parents. But when I was 17, I was very far removed from my parents at the time, far removed from my grandparents at the time. I basically had nobody left. And I just continued to burn bridges till I had nothing left. And I'd done that like numerous times in my life. And then finally in my mid-20s, I was just so beaten down by life. And I was so tired of the way I was living and this journey my life was taking that I finally was just done. And I was like, I'm going to listen to everybody around me now.
Just one morning.
Roughly, yeah, basically. Basically, it was like this, basically.
And then what happened?
I moved down to Florida in the Miami area, and my boy from New York, he had also like turned a light switch. He like cleaned himself up about 2 years before that. He let me stay in his house for free. He drove when I landed on the plane. I was homeless. My mother found me. I lived in Highbridge Park in Washington Heights in New York City. She had flown me to Florida. She like never gave up. Like I said, she tracked me down in New York, found me, and put me on a plane. So my boy, his name was Charlie. We call him Charlie Hustle, couldn't take care of me. And he drove me to a tattoo shop straight from the airport. And he said, you're going to work here now, and you're not going to get paid, but I'll let you live in my house for free. And I did that. And then slowly somebody started offering me a paid job. And then that paid job turned to a better paying job. That better paying job turned into what became a future career. And that career, I just worked as hard as I could at, built it up, and I just continued growing from there. I'd sold my business like roughly in my like late 20s. And when I sold the business, I moved to LA. I planned on starting another business out here, and LA was like the perfect demographic for what I wanted. COVID happened not too long after. When I first moved out here, I chilled super heavy. I had like the most money I ever had. I wasn't working, so I had all the time. And I was new to LA. It was right before COVID, so I was like partying in the very beginning, and it was so cool to be in LA. I'd never been in LA in my life. And so I took my time, and slowly I was about to get into business, and then COVID started. And I said, okay, no COVID. No business, because I don't want to commit my money through COVID. I didn't know what was coming of it. So I started gambling, like to kill time, basically, just to continue partying. I'd go to Vegas once a week because LA got shut down, but Vegas didn't. So I'd go to Vegas once a week and gamble like kind of big, I guess. Like at the time, it didn't seem big, but looking back, I suppose it was. And I gambled bigger and I kept winning. Then I gambled really big and I kept winning, and turned into what everybody sees today.
And what was that moment where you like, I figured this game out? Was there a moment, or you're like, now it's up to beating the casino, not the game?
When I won my first $1 million, no, right before that, I had won $800,000 from a $200, right? So I had a $200 bankroll, and in 3 days I won $800,000. But that $200 was the last $200 from a summer, an entire summer of losing, right? So I couldn't win to save my life. I would lose a coin toss if you gave me 2 guesses, right? I couldn't win anything. I had $200 left, and in 3 days I ran it up. And after I ran it up and I could like breathe, I spent some time reflecting, and I said, how can you go that long losing that bad? I go, something here is fishy. It's like so improbable. And I knew that I was an AP, right? Like I knew.
Why did you know that?
Well, I'd always been like winning. I had won more. I had won at a higher win rate than most gamblers. It wasn't a secret. Like the casinos, we would talk about that I'm an AP. Like it wasn't like a secret, right? We all knew it. We just didn't know like what level exactly. So I'm thinking like as I reflect after winning 800, I'm like, how can an AP lose everything for a whole summer? Like I couldn't win any game, no matter what. Like what strategy I used, nothing. So I reflected and I go, something is not kosher.
You're like, haha, the casino is fucking me.
Yeah. And then there's another part of the story I'm gonna skip past, but it was like the guy who helped me recognize what some of the issues were. He had taught me with real evidence that the casinos are cheating, right? I'm just going to skip a little past that guy. I ended up winning my first million, and it was exactly 1.25 million. That was my first $1 million win, right? It was 125. And at that point, I said, there's something here worth studying to keep this going. So then I go back to the guy who had taught me, and he'd showed me in a casino one of the main ways a casino cheats in Baccarat. So I started exploring deeper into the teachings this guy gave me, knowing from my own experience during the summer that the casinos are doing something fishy. This guy showed me what was fishy. I win $1 million while just lightly considering this. After I won the million, I said, there's something here worth expanding on. And I jumped deeper into both of those understandings and started to learn more about what the casinos are doing to cheat and their edges that they're building and what have you. And that's when I started to build a system and a way to keep staying, working within their exploitative features and continue to stay net profitable.
And at that point, you were confident that
Yeah, exactly.
you know what they're doing and you're going to figure it out.
Exactly right.
And what about, are you one of the people that say all the things you've been through, like the homelessness and everything, made you the person that you are today? Or would you say things were unnecessary and it doesn't
Unnecessary. I believe I'd rather be the person that I would have been if I didn't experience the pain. You know, somebody said to me one time, but doesn't it make you stronger?
Mhm.
And I go, but what would I need to be this strong for if I'm not fighting that battle? I'd rather have never have lived a life of hardship, and I'd rather have been the person I would have been if I lived an easier life.
Well, there's also like chosen pain and unchosen pain, I think. You can like hit yourself, get hit every day and be like, yo, this is going to make me so much stronger. Or you put yourself in adversity in like the gym or a cold plunge or tough situations, or you go up to a woman and approach her. You choose that pain. You choose that discomfort. It's your choice, other than somebody else like slaves you or hits you every day. And you didn't choose the pain.
I think I did.
But not like that you want to suffer. It was just more against the system.
Well, I kept making decisions that caused pain in my life.
Yeah.
If I can go back, I would not have chose those decisions, and I would have lived a much softer, easier, probably happier, better life. And I'd rather be the person I would have been then than I am now.
Let's say my son turns to be out to be you, personality-wise. What do you do with a kid like that?
I gotta be honest, it's a fear I have every day. I don't know the answer, honestly. I would want to encourage the kids so hard to not make the decisions I made. But people used to do that to me, and I would do the opposite. So what do you do then? Tell the kid the opposite, knowing he's gonna like do the opposite, which is the right thing? No, because what happens if he listens sometimes?
Exactly.
Then you told him to do a bad thing. So I'm terrified to cross this bridge, to have this issue. I don't know. It's just something I fear every day.
Is there anything your parents did like majorly bad, passed down trauma, abuse, or is there like it's just all your responsibility and it was just in you?
For sure was in me. I'm my own person. I can decide anything. I think like the biggest thing, the biggest like driving behavior I had, like the biggest driving factor to the behavior I had, maybe would come from my father. And I completely understand why he was this way. He was not like and he still is not like a like loving, passionate, compassionate, how you say, like emotionally vulnerable human being, right? I know exactly why he's like that. It makes perfect sense. And there's nothing he can do about it. There's nothing anyone can do. That's who he is, why all of us are different. Like you like all this tie-dye and the pink Louis, and you wear the makeup, you got blush on or what have you. And like, I like this, right? If we had the same emotional vulnerability, we'd probably like the same colors, but we'd all be the same. So I don't fault my father for this, but I think because of this, he'll never be proud. He'll never like pat me on the back. He'll never tell me good job. He'll never encourage anything I'm doing that's not exactly what he's doing. You know, and like I think that had a lot of negative effect on me because I wanted to prove to him, and him and I are very similar, by the way, almost like the same, which I think is like our issue, right?
Exactly.
If neither of us are going to be emotionally vulnerable or compassionate towards each other, then how can we ever feel love for each other? Logically, he knows I love him and I know he loves me, but will never have that kind of connection, right? And I think that had this like effect on me where I wanted to prove so hard that I'm worthy of love and that I wanted to do these extravagant things so he could look at me and be like, wow, that's my kid. I'm proud of him or whatever, you know? And a lot of times it drove me to such extremes that it got me in trouble a lot. And then even
Because
when
you wanted attention.
I wanted the attention, but like I was hoping for the positive outcome. Like I would do something really extreme, knowing that the risk of success versus risk of failure was so great. But I was like, I'll take that risk because the small chance that it's a success, there's no way my father can deny me pride and deny me compassion and deny me love. And, you know, because it's such a huge risk, these things I was doing, these extreme things, that when it failed, which more times than not, inevitably it will, I was like, dang, I got to do something different now because eventually I'll succeed in one of them and I'll gain my father's, appreciation and love and compassion and what have you.
So when they gave you to your other relatives, it felt like a defeat, like a failure?
It was this weird thing and it made me like the black sheep kind of, like, I don't know, like, like my brother I spoke about took like a fairly stable, safe route. He's got like a quiet life that he's happy with. And I think it's really easy for my parents, for example, to connect with that. They're like, we understand that. That's something we can get behind. But I went so extreme trying to like prove things to my father that he doesn't even know what's going on. He's like, I can't even fathom the life you're living. Even when he's around me, he's like, I can't believe what just took place in front of my eyes. He goes, I can't even relate to that. So I still find myself struggling, for that kind of connection. But it's okay. Like I know he loves me. He's got my best interest and vice versa.
Are you firstborn or secondborn?
I'm the oldest.
How much age in between?
1.5 years to the day.
I have 10 years between me and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came, he took all the attention away.
Mm-hmm.
So now I had to come up with something else to shine, almost like you. But then I grew up in Austria, very small town, not a lot of bad influence there. So the only way to shine was to like dress up and be colorful and create candy cans. So that was like my way of like, I show you, be proud of me. And he also never was proud of me. But I feel like I don't know if there's many men that get that, where your dad is like, I'm proud of my son. Does your brother get that? Like, is your dad like proud of him? Or also like, he's just not that kind of guy?
It's really hard to say. From the outside, it looks like, I'm not saying this is a fact. It looks like my dad loves and likes my brother more, right? Yeah. He relates to my brother. My brother's life makes more sense to him. He can, almost like I'm the front line of the war and my brother needs to be protected. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it's like, but I also think that it means something else, which I don't think a lot of people reflect on. I think it also means that my father thinks that I'm stronger and he thinks that I can handle it and he thinks that I'm more responsible and I can carry bigger weight on my shoulder, that I don't need as much protecting as my little brother does.
Do you feel like you and him are opposites?
My brother and I? I think that we have a lot of like opposing character traits, but at the core, we're the same. We have the same humor. Yeah. We like kind of the same stuff. Like our favorite core memories as kids are the same, and the stuff that we hated was the same, you know? But he likes one lifestyle and I like another, and that's always been a consistent.
Yeah. Do you think that like sometimes like let's say one wrong or different thing would have happened in your life, you wouldn't have this success story now? You would just still be homeless? Or what if the summer goes through, you lose, and you don't figure it out? Or you just don't hang out long enough to figure it out? Was that ever an option? Or?
Yeah, but I don't think it's who I am. My whole life has been like a series of unfortunate and fortunate events. Yeah. There's no way for me to like have planned all of the bad things and all the good things. And every single thing was made up of all these small decisions, good and bad along the way. Every single thing was like a small decision that turned into something magnificent.
Let's say there's somebody listening that is still in that phase. Like I think many kids, not to your extent, but many kids are like, I'm going to do the opposite of my parents at all cost, right? But at what point, like what advice can you give these kids like to like that they have this one morning that where you woke up and you're like, no more, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
I would tell those kids their parents do actually know. They know what's good. And when they get older and they become parents, they're going to see like their parents were right the whole time. If they can just sit tight long enough, they'll be mature enough mentally. And when I say mature, I don't mean like a certain age. I mean, they will have acquired enough life experience to make the correct decision as a unique individual. And I think they need to sit tight before they damage themselves like I did too soon and ruined all the opportunities that I wish I had taken.
And your foundation can help with that, no?
Absolutely. It's Shaken Hearts on Instagram. ShakenHearts. Just send us a DM and everyone that works there is a volunteer and they'll take it from there.
That's crazy. And do you think your life is going to continue as spectacular as it's been till now?
I think my life just got started.
Yeah? What's going to happen?
Time will tell.
But it doesn't have to be necessarily gambling.
No, I don't think it will be.
Do you think you can transfer that skill over to like something else, or
Yeah.
Because it's so much discipline, so much dialed in. It's training your mind, and also really checking your whole surroundings and everything. It seems like it could be good for like a lot of things.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Do you have any other passions or besides cars?
I love dirt biking. I love like going to punk rock shows. I love theme parks. I love roller coasters.
Yeah.
I just love that stuff. And I'm just going to keep on keeping on.
And then with all that money, it's hardcore to remove them, or?
Yeah, money is not a roadblock in removing tattoos. Removing tattoos is not, it's not just for the rich. Like actually every removal session I've ever done was free actually. And it's available to everybody for free. Like there's ways. So it's not like money that's stopping me. It's just a long and painful. And there's also a huge emotional pain. Yeah, it's physically painful. But there's also a huge emotional pain that people don't talk about in removing tattoos. It's there's a lot to it. There's a lot that goes into it emotionally to remove a tattoo.
But you're gonna remove them all?
Impossible. I'm tattooed from the top of my head to my toes, my whole body. Yeah. So basically, we're just gonna focus on removing my face.
Do you work out?
No.
No?
No.
You should. It's a good challenge.
Yeah. It's good for you.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
And you're so dialed in with your brain. I feel like a lot of millionaires or people that are so success or money driven, sometimes they run down their body a little bit.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. And I've never seen somebody that really put in the work for like a year and then stop doing it and be like, nah, I'm good actually. You find yourself in the dark moments and in uncomfortable situations, and the gym is super uncomfortable. Nobody wants to go. Everybody that steps in first sucks. And you always have to like put yourself up and be strong mentally, and you got to just do it even if you don't feel like it. And I think that like transfers over to the rest of your life. And the other thing is family. I think it's great that you want to have a family and that you want to like marry the next girl that you get.
Whoever I date next. If there's do you have a big female audience?
Yeah, mostly female.
Really?
On TikTok, it's like 70%, I think.
I'm trying really hard to get a female demographic. 70% is spectacular.
Yeah.
So to all the women out there, please come correct. I don't have time to waste. I do plan on marrying the next girl I date. So let's get it right the first time.
And you're going to stay in LA?
Who knows?
You don't care?
Nah.
What do you think about Hollywood?
It's cool. I like Hollywood so far. I like being in the movies and stuff, filming all this stuff. Yeah, it's cool for me so far.
Yeah, I like that you're also so positive if like everybody's always like the fake and blah, blah, blah. But you're like, nah, bro, like there's many people that you're like eye to eye that also like can help you. There's always two ways you can look at things.
Yeah.
And
People are confused, by the way, when they say LA is made of fake people.
Mm.
I think there are like fake people that are just like Fugazi that are here, like, I don't know what, no plan in life and just trying to climb like the clout ladder or whatever. Like that exists. That exists in every town. Like the cool kid in high school, everybody wanted to be around him because he was the cool kid, right? But I think what people have a misconception of in LA when it comes to fake people is most of the people in LA are transient, right? They're transplants from somewhere else. They came here because they have one goal, whatever that may be, a particular business or an act, to be an actor, actress, model, whatever it may be. So when they come here, they go, hey, I left my entire life behind for my one dream, my one goal. Either you're on the same journey as me or you're not. And if you're not, all you are going to serve is as a distraction from me achieving my dream or my goal. So if you're not in that same goal, I need to excuse you from my life. And a lot of people who get excused, they say to themselves, oh, that person was fake. They only wanted me around because they can use me. No, it's because you were gonna take them off their access. They had a path. The reason they left their family behind in whatever town they came from, they came here for one goal. So when people in LA meet, a pretty quick conversation is, can we help each other achieve our goal? Oh, we have different goals, or you can't help me reach my goal? I'm sorry, but before I use up any of your resources, you're probably just not in my lane and I'm going to excuse you from me. So I think a lot of people have this misconception of people in LA are fake. And I to such an extent, I disagree because I think they came here for an objective. And if you just can't help that objective, then you can only hurt their objective. And that's why they move on without you.
That's very true. Very true. And also, it's always the people that are fake that say that everybody else is fake.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a... Man, okay. One last thing. What about online gambling? I just thought about that. Is there any?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to the owners of every online casino in existence, and they offer me these crazy bags. And
Can you play your game online?
Yeah, oh for sure.
But will they cheat you online?
Yeah, they're gonna treat me the same. So I say to all of them, they want to pay me just to promote the casinos, right? To get other users, and I don't want to see people lose money. I don't get paid for people to lose. I don't want to see people get hurt. Like I don't get enjoyment to see you in pain. I don't want to see you hurt. I don't see your life go in shambles, especially over gambling because I'm the one that had convinced you to go do it, right? So every casino that's contacted me, I say the same thing. I said, it's a crazy bag. Those like Steph Curry numbers. Bag sounds nice. Can I audit your company? I want to take a look at the books. I want to look at the programming. I want to meet the dealers. I want to sit at the tables. I want to get involved. And every time that part of the conversation comes, the conversation ends.
Yeah. So what about opening your own casino?
I can't talk on that.
Man, that would be crazy. And what about teaching everybody your method?
The problem with that is that once it goes public, the casinos are going to stop doing
pull
that.
the game.
Yeah. No, I don't know if they'll pull the game, but they'll just change it. Like they'll change the exploitative features. So like once it goes public, it'll also no longer be applicable.
Have you ever thought about why there's no, like why things are the way they are? Like, are there new games coming in, getting invented?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, just I think last week, every casino in Vegas, without telling anybody, changed the payout on craps, for example. One night, in an instant, every single casino changed the payout on a craps bet, and they didn't tell anybody. So they have this, like I said earlier, they have the central communication system, and together they'll add new games, they'll subtract old games, they're eliminating double-deck blackjack, and that's because out of all the blackjacks, it has the biggest player advantage. They add more bonus bets because they figured out that it's enticing to the player, but it's also in the player's least favor. So they do all these things like every day. They just added a version of blackjack called free bet. I can promise you a casino is not adding a bet or adding a game because it's in their favor, because it's in your favor. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
So
either the opposite.
Always.
Man, that's crazy. And then, yeah, I think I love that you're on social media, and I love the message and the help that you want, and that you just want to make a difference, especially coming from you. I think people can take more away for somebody that has like really killed the game when you're like, hey, I don't want you to gamble, more than when somebody who has no idea just tells them to stop gambling.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful and really cool.
Thank you.
Man, that was great talking to you. It's crazy how when I saw you, you can't help but having all these stereotypes and all these ideas about somebody, right? With the face tats, with the goth look, with the McLaren, with the being naked and all the stacks. Do you, do you ever do you like trolling online?
I'm the biggest troll, man.
Right?
The thing is that it's so hard. My brand is always so serious. I always look so serious, talk so serious. I always seem angry. That comedy doesn't portray well through my brand.
Mm.
But if you knew me like off camera, I'm always trolling. Bro, you got it. I wish that somebody would go through every troll comment I ever left and like make a thread about it. Yeah, I'm a huge troller. Yeah, huge. Love it. Love it. Love it. Bro, I won $11.5 million, took a video of the checks, and then it flashes to me standing naked on the hood of a car in the middle of the desert. Like, come on.
Man, what did you think about when I messaged you?
When you messaged me,
Like, why were you down to do this?
I looked at your page
Mhm.
and I was like, this guy's a maniac. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, everything's so colorful. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? You know, I thought like maybe it was like a OnlyFans, like, you know, because all the porn star girls, they all love this stuff. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I was like, let me see what he's about. And the first thing I saw after that was I saw Creators Inc. I don't know where. I seen the tag
Mhm.
somewhere. And me and Andy are really good friends. So before I even accepted your message when you DM me, I called Andy and I go, yo, this guy, Candy Ken, is your guy? And he goes, yeah, that's my guy. We just did something, you know, with whoever. And that's cool. I go, he messaged me. He wants me on the show. And Andy was like, you should do it. You know, do it. It's the right thing. And I said, say less. And I didn't ask any questions. And I respect Andy a lot. And, you know, he asked me to do it. And I messaged you back and you were easy with my schedule. And
That's
good
what's
for me.
up.
Yeah. By the way, I never watched any of your stuff. And I don't mean to be rude.
No,
I'm not
no.
on TikTok a lot, but I didn't want to know what I was getting myself into today. I thought
Yeah.
it'd be more organic for you to ask me whatever you want. And then I just answer as it is, not based on your demographic or your viewership or anything like that. I thought it would make it less organic if I did any research.
For sure.
And I wasn't necessarily expecting this either. Like,
Oh, no way.
yeah.
I know. I wanted it to, I see all these podcasts and everything looks the same.
Mhm.
I wanted to really, when you swipe, that you're like, oh shit, the fuck is this, Like,
I wonder if I look cool because all the contrast. Does it look cool to you guys out there that I'm just like gothic and then I'm sitting here like this? It's probably kind of a cool contrast.
I shot it flat, so I color corrected. So the colors look natural.
yeah, and you'll really pop out in the black outfit.
That's funny.
It'll look good.
That's funny. It's probably a cool contrast. I'm
Yeah.
with it.
Man, what about you said you like the whole hentai Japan shit?
Well, actually, I don't. But like, I don't like watch hentai, none of that. But I'm gonna do a full build on that McLaren, and we're gonna wrap it in like super hardcore hentai, just like basically just hardcore porn.
Mhm.
But I was nervous to do real porn that somehow would be illegal, like
For
the
sure.
children in passengers'
Yeah.
cars. But if it's a cartoon, like how could that be against the law? So we're gonna have like pussy out. I'm not gonna put any dicks on the car, but we're gonna have like like an octopus coming out of a girl's pussy, like like all types of like hardcore sex scenes made out of cartoons. That's how we're gonna wrap the McLaren.
You still love the attention? What zodiac are you?
Scorpio.
Scorpio?
Yeah.
And you'll still love the attention?
Nah, I have other cars that are much more subtle, but I don't know. I just feel like it's just like a big.
I mean, I love the attention. I don't judge.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I just think it's like a bigger FU. Like I got the car,
Mhm.
and at first it was kind of like a FU. Like I look like I should be living in my parents' basement,
Mhm.
but I'm pulling up in
Right?
a supercar.
Yeah. But so
And-
many millionaires do though.
Yeah,
They're always in fucking Crocs and white shirt and
yeah. I go shopping at Walmart.
Yeah.
And we're starter. Yeah, and I think like kind of what you said, the feeling kind of wore off. Like I daily the McLaren, like the other cars kind of just sit, and the feeling of the McLaren wore off. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, I like cars, by the way. Like I
Mhm.
like building, like custom cars, stuff like that. So I was like, I want to customize this car too, because I didn't do anything to it. It's got an exhaust, but it's basic. I'm gonna do a full build. We're gonna do 1100 horsepower. It's gonna be like 859 to the wheels. We're gonna do a fully exposed rear end. We're gonna do a lot of stuff. But anyway, I was like, I wanted to customize because I enjoy it. But I was like, how can I make this like a bigger FU? How can I get that feeling back? And I was like, I'm gonna put my porn on my entire car. Like,
Man, you hate the casinos. What about you hate what about the government?
the
and
worst.
Pharma.
Pharma is the government. It's the same. It's the same.
Are we gonna do anything else to bring everybody down or what?
Nah, they're gonna kill me.
You worry about your safety?
Yeah.
Yeah? I was surprised that you don't pull up with security.
I live right next door.
Because of Andy, probably.
I trust Andy fully.
Exactly. So you were like, what? Candy Cane's not gonna.
No, I trust Andy fully.
Yeah.
And I live next door actually.
Mhm.
And I'm a little bit sick today, so I just got out of bed and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go next door and do this interview. So I just rinsed off, threw on a clean t-shirt and walked in.
Are you worried about like flashing all this money online and then.
Nah. Because that's a stupid fear. Like, listen, first of all, I don't have all this money. Like, bro, I don't have $1 million in my pocket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if you were to run, first of all, my pockets are empty. I'll show you right now. I got the car key. And that's it.
Bunch of
right?
vapes.
And that's it. So I walk around with empty pockets. So what do you
Yeah.
want to take my vape? You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna run down on me and I have no, by the way, I usually do have security, but like, let's say I don't, or whatever, I don't know. Like right now, one of these guys wants to run down on me. What's he gonna make off with? My iPhone that he can't unlock, or one of my vapes that was given to me? You know what I mean? He's gonna take my car keys and take my car that's insured anyway. So the money part is dumb. Like there's guys like Elon, Bill, the Koch brothers. Like there's so many people way wealthier than me. That's not public information. They're wealthier. People aren't trying to rob them for the money in their pocket. They'd be even stupider to try to rob me. I have less money than those guys, and we carry the same things in our pocket. Nothing.
So you don't worry about it.
Like somebody trying to, like the flashing of cash on the internet?
Yeah.
Nah.
What about girls approaching you because you're rich?
You thought I got all this money not to get girls?
I know, but when you want a wifey.
Yeah, she'll be taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't do all this to not get more girls. You know what I mean? Like,
But when you find the one, you're down to settle down or what?
yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, bro. Like, having money and clout is like the two biggest tools
of
to
course.
getting girls. Like,
Yeah.
you thought I got clout not to get pussy? You thought I got this money not to spend on girls? Like, come on. Yeah, you know?
How old are you?
I never say on the air. I'll
Oh.
tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got for today.
Okay.
It was it's crazy to meet you. Man.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mikki.